The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement. Beings from 1,000 worlds filled the room, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. Today was special. A new species was joining their ranks, humans from the planet Earth. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood tall, her crisp blue uniform a stark contrast to the colorful and often bizarre attire of the alien delegates. Behind her, a small team of human representatives shuffled nervously, their eyes darting around the massive chamber. Honored members of the Galactic Council. Sarah's voice rang out, amplified by hidden speakers. We come in peace and friendship. Earth is ready to join the galactic community. A chorus of clicks, whistles, and electronic beeps filled the air as translation devices worked overtime. The council members regarded the humans with a mix of curiosity and amusement. High Counselor Zixnath, a towering insectoid with gleaming compound eyes, leaned forward. "Welcome, humans," it chittered. "We have observed your kind for some time. Tell us, what do you bring to our alliance?" Sarah smiled confidently. "We bring innovation, adaptability, and a strong spirit of exploration. But most importantly, we offer our skills in defense and peacekeeping." A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. Sarah's smile faltered. "Defense." Zixnath's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Your species has barely mastered interplanetary travel. What could you possibly offer in terms of defense?" Sarah gestured to one of her team members. Captain Jack Morrison stepped forward, carrying a sleek metal case. He opened it, revealing an array of firearms, from compact pistols to a disassembled sniper rifle. "These are examples of our projectile weapons," Sarah explained. "They're highly effective and—" The laughter grew louder. A gelatinous being near the front burbled something that the translator rendered as, "They still use chemical propellants." How quaint. Jack's face reddened, but he held his tongue. Sarah pressed on, her voice rising above the din. "I assure you, our weapons are more than capable of." "Enough." Zixnath raised a clawed appendage for silence. "Ambassador Chen, surely you jest. Your guns are centuries behind even the most primitive energy weapons used by spacefaring cultures. They would be useless against modern shielding technology." Sarah's diplomatic mask slipped for a moment, revealing a flash of anger. "With all due respect, High Counselor, you underestimate us. Humans have a long history of military innovation. These weapons are merely the tip of the iceberg." An avian creature with iridescent feathers spoke up. "History. Your species has been embroiled in conflict since you first picked up sticks and stones. Is that something to be proud of?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Sarah felt her cheeks burning, but she stood her ground. "Our history has taught us valuable lessons. We've learned to adapt, to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. That's what we offer the Council, not just our weapons, but our resilience and determination." Zixnath's compound eyes glittered with what might have been pity. "Noble words, Ambassador, but the galaxy is a dangerous place. Your determination will not stop a plasma bolt or a graviton beam. Perhaps it would be best if humans focused on other contributions, art perhaps, or cuisine." The chamber erupted in laughter once more. Sarah clenched her fists, struggling to maintain her composure. Jack stepped forward, his voice low but intense. "You're making a mistake. You have no idea what humans are capable of when pushed into a corner." The translator must have captured the threat in his tone. The laughter died down, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. Zixnath's antennae twitched. "Is that a threat, Captain Morrison?" Sarah quickly intervened. "Not at all, High Counselor. We came here in peace, and that remains our intention. We simply ask for a chance to prove ourselves." The insectoid leader considered for a moment. "Very well. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, but do not expect to be taken seriously in matters of defense or warfare. Leave that to species with appropriate technology." As the human delegation was escorted out of the chamber, the mocking laughter of the council members followed them. Sarah's face was a mask of diplomatic neutrality, but her eyes burned with determination. Once they were alone, Jack turned to her. "What now?" Sarah's lips curved into a grim smile. "Now, we go home and prepare. They think our guns are a joke. Fine. Let them underestimate us. It'll make it all the sweeter when we show them what humanity is really capable of." The human team exchanged determined looks. The Galactic Council had no idea what they'd just awakened. Humanity wasn't just going to join the galactic community. They were going to revolutionize it, whether the aliens liked it or not. The journey back to Earth was tense. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in her quarters aboard the human starship, Resilience, staring at the swirling colors of hyperspace outside her window. The laughter of the Galactic Council still rang in her ears, fueling a fire in her belly. A knock at her door broke her from her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Captain Jack Morrison entered, his face grim. "Ambassador, we're approaching Earth. The President wants a full report as soon as we land." Sarah nodded. "Thank you, Jack. And please, call me Sarah. After what we've been through, I think we can drop the formalities." Jack's shoulders relaxed slightly. "How do you think they'll react back home?" "They won't be happy," Sarah sighed. "But maybe this is the push we need. Humanity has always thrived when faced with a challenge." As the Resilience descended through Earth's atmosphere, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The blue planet, teeming with life and potential, filled her with renewed hope. The debriefing at the White House was intense. President Amara Okafor listened intently as Sarah recounted their experience with the Galactic Council. "So they laughed at our weapons," the president mused, her fingers steepled under her chin. "What do you propose we do about it, Ambassador Chen?" Sarah straightened in her chair. "Madam President, I believe we need to initiate a top-secret weapons development program, something that will make the Council eat their words." The room fell silent. General Miguel Rodriguez, a grizzled veteran with cybernetic implants, spoke up. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we can't compete with alien technology. We're centuries behind." "That's where you're wrong, General," Sarah countered. "We don't need to match their tech. We need to think outside the box. Human history is full of examples where innovative tactics and unexpected weapons turned the tide of battle." President Okafor's eyes sparkled with interest. "Go on." Sarah stood and began to pace. "The aliens rely heavily on energy shields and advanced materials. But what if we could bypass those defenses entirely? What if we could develop weapons that target their vulnerabilities in ways they've never considered?" Jack, who had been quiet until now, chimed in. "I've been thinking about this too. What about projectiles that change phase? Or weapons that manipulate gravity itself?" The room buzzed with excitement as ideas flew back and forth. President Okafor raised a hand for silence. "I like what I'm hearing," she said. "But we need more than just weapons. We need to understand our potential enemies. Ambassador Chen, I want you to lead a new division. Your mission will be twofold. Develop these revolutionary weapons and gather intelligence on alien species and their technologies." Sarah's heart raced. "Thank you, Madam President. I won't let you down." As the meeting adjourned, Sarah found herself in a whirlwind of activity. A secret facility was established in the Rocky Mountains, codenamed Project Prometheus. The best and brightest minds from around the world were recruited, sworn to secrecy. Months flew by. The facility hummed with activity day and night. In one lab, scientists worked on a gun that fired projectiles that could phase through energy shields. In another, engineers developed powered armor suits that could stand up to alien weaponry. Sarah worked tirelessly, coordinating efforts and analyzing the limited data they had on alien physiology and technology. She often found herself working late into the night, poring over reports and test results. One evening, as she was about to call it a night, an excited researcher burst into her office. "Ambassador Chen, we've had a breakthrough." Sarah followed the researcher to a testing range deep within the mountain. There, She watched in awe as a small, unassuming device emitted a pulse that instantly disabled all electronic equipment in the room. "It's an electromagnetic pulse generator," the researcher explained breathlessly. "But it's selective. We can tune it to target specific frequencies used by alien tech while leaving our own equipment untouched." For the first time since that humiliating day of the Galactic Council, Sarah felt a genuine smile spread across her face. This is exactly what we need. Good work, everyone. As she looked around at the determined faces of her team, Sarah felt a surge of pride. The aliens had underestimated humanity, but that was about to change. They thought human guns were a joke. Well, the punchline was going to be a doozy. Little did they know, far above Earth's atmosphere, alien ships were gathering. The laughter of the Galactic Council was about to turn into a gasp of shock. Humanity's moment was coming, and they would be ready. The skies over Earth darkened as massive alien ships entered the atmosphere. Their sleek, otherworldly designs cast long shadows over cities worldwide. Panic spread like wildfire as the reality of an alien invasion set in. In the White House Situation Room, President Amara Okafor stood surrounded by her top advisors, her face grim as she watched the live feeds. "Status report," she demanded. General Rodriguez saluted. "Madam President, we've detected over 50 alien capital ships entering Earth's atmosphere. They've positioned themselves over major cities on every continent." Ambassador Sarah Chen, now director of Project Prometheus, stepped forward. "Our deep space monitoring stations picked up their approach just hours ago. They must have some kind of stealth technology we couldn't detect." The room fell silent as a message crackled through the speakers. A familiar chittering voice filled the air. "High Counselor Zixnath of the Galactic Council." "People of Earth," the alien leader began, its tone dripping with condescension. "Your species has been deemed too volatile to join the galactic community. For the safety of all, we will now assume control of your planet. Resist, and you will be eliminated." President Okafor's eyes narrowed. "Like hell they will," she muttered. Turning to Sarah, she asked, "Are we ready?" Sarah hesitated. "Our weapons are still in the testing phase, Madam President. We haven't had time to mass produce." An aide burst into the room. "Madam President, the aliens have opened fire on military installations worldwide." Chaos erupted as reports flooded in. Alien energy weapons rained down from the sky, vaporizing tanks and aircraft with ease. Earth's military forces scrambled to respond, but their conventional weapons were useless against the invaders' advanced shields. In New York, towering alien walkers stomped through the streets, their legs crushing cars and buildings alike. Panicked civilians ran for cover as strange, floating drones zipped through the air, firing stun beams that left people unconscious in their wake. Over the skies of Tokyo, human fighter jets engaged in a desperate dogfight with alien craft. The Earth pilots fought bravely, showcasing incredible skill, but one by one, their planes were swatted from the sky by superior alien technology. In Moscow's Red Square, a group of alien foot soldiers marched forward, protected by personal energy shields that flickered with each impact from human bullets. They fired back with weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics, sending Russian troops flying without ever touching them. Back in the Situation Room, Sarah watched the global devastation with a heavy heart. "We need more time," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. President Okafor placed a hand on her shoulder. "Time is something we don't have, Sarah. We need to use what we've got. Now." Sarah nodded, steeling herself. She turned to Captain Jack Morrison, who had been standing silently in the corner. "Jack, it's time. Deploy the Prometheus teams." Jack saluted and rushed out of the room, already barking orders into his comm unit. Around the world, hidden bunkers opened. Small teams of specially trained soldiers emerged, equipped with the fruits of Project Prometheus. They wore sleek, matte black armor that seemed to absorb light, making them nearly invisible in the shadows. In London, as an alien walker approached Big Ben, a Prometheus team sprang into action. Their leader raised a weapon that looked more like a tuning fork than a gun. With a pull of the trigger, a pulse of energy shot out, causing the walker's legs to buckle and collapse. Over the streets of Rio de Janeiro, alien drones suddenly dropped from the sky as if their power had been cut. A lone Prometheus operative lowered her EMP rifle, a satisfied smile on her face. In Beijing, a squad of alien foot soldiers found their energy shields fritzing and failing as specialized Prometheus rounds phased right through, taking them down with pinpoint accuracy. For the first time since the invasion began, a spark of hope ignited. Humanity was fighting back, and they were landing blows that the aliens never saw coming. But the alien forces were vast, and Earth's defenders were few. For every alien ship disabled, 3 more took its place. For every foot soldier taken down, a dozen more teleported in. In the Situation Room, Sarah watched the battles unfold with a mix of pride and desperation. "It's working," she reported, "but we're outnumbered and outgunned. We need a game changer." President Okafor nodded gravely. "Then it's time for Plan Omega. God help us all." As the order went out, hidden silos around the world began to open. The fate of humanity now rested on one final desperate gambit. The aliens thought they had won, but the real battle was just beginning. The world held its breath as Plan Omega unfolded. In secret locations across the globe, massive artillery pieces emerged from hidden bunkers. These weren't ordinary guns. They were the pinnacle of Project Prometheus, weapons that defied conventional understanding. Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the Rocky Mountain facility, her heart pounding. Screens showed similar weapons being readied in the Sahara, the Australian outback, and deep in the Amazon rainforest. Each gun was aimed at a different alien capital ship. "All stations report ready," Captain Jack Morrison announced, his voice tense. President Okafor's face appeared on the main screen. "Director Chen, you have permission to fire. May God be with us." Sarah took a deep breath and pressed the button. The Omega guns roared to life, but instead of projectiles or energy beams, they fired. Nothing visible. For a moment, it seemed like a dud. Then, the impossible happened. In the skies above New York, an alien capital ship suddenly crumpled like a tin can. Over London, another ship split in two as if cut by an invisible knife. In Tokyo, Beijing, and Moscow, more ships fell, their supposedly impenetrable hulls breached by an unseen force. "It worked," Jack shouted, pumping his fist in the air. The gravity bombs worked. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Omega guns had fired projectiles that created localized gravitational singularities, miniature black holes that lasted just long enough to tear through the alien ships before dissipating harmlessly. On screens around the world, humans watched in awe as the seemingly invincible alien fleet began to fall from the sky. The Galactic Council had never seen anything like it. High Counselor Zixnath's voice crackled over the global communication channels, its usual arrogance replaced by shock. What is this sorcery? How is this possible?" Sarah grabbed a microphone. "This, High Counselor, is human innovation. You laughed at our guns. Well, who's laughing now?" As alien ships plummeted from the sky, human resistance fighters surged forward. Prometheus teams, emboldened by their new advantage, pushed alien ground forces back. In New York, a team used grappling hooks enhanced with anti-gravity tech to scale a crippled alien walker, planting explosives in its weak spots. In the streets of Paris, French resistance fighters wielded rifles that fired smart bullets, capable of curving around corners to hit alien targets. The invaders, used to energy weapons and force fields, found themselves outmaneuvered by old-school ballistics combined with cutting-edge tech. Over the skies of Cairo, a squadron of human fighters took to the air. Their planes, hastily retrofitted with Prometheus tech, engaged the remaining alien craft. Energy shields flickered and failed against phase-shifting missiles, while EMP bursts sent alien ships spiraling to the ground. But the aliens weren't done yet. As their main fleet crumbled, they unleashed their ground troops in a desperate push. Across the globe, waves of alien soldiers teleported into major cities, determined to overwhelm human defenses through sheer numbers. In the Rocky Mountain facility, alarms blared. "We've got incoming," Jack shouted. "They've found us." Sarah rushed to a weapons locker, pulling out a sleek rifle. "Then let's give them a proper welcome," she growled. As alien troops breached the outer defenses, Sarah and Jack led a team to protect the heart of Project Prometheus. The narrow corridors echoed with the sound of gunfire and alien energy weapons. Sarah took cover behind a fallen beam, then leaned out to fire. Her rifle spat out rounds that seemed to ignite the air itself, creating micro-explosions that ripped through alien armor. Jack, at her side, wielded a weapon that looked like an oversized tuning fork. With each activation, it emitted a frequency that disrupted the aliens' neural networks, leaving them disoriented and vulnerable. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to give an inch. Sarah knew that similar scenes were playing out in cities and military bases around the world. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. As she reloaded her weapon, Sarah caught Jack's eye. "We've turned the tide," she said, "but this is far from over." Jack nodded grimly. "They underestimated us once. They won't make that mistake again." Outside, the sky lit up as another alien ship fell, a victim of the Omega guns. But for every ship they brought down, more alien ground troops appeared. The real test of humanity's resolve was just beginning. Sarah chambered another round. "Then let's make sure they remember this day, the day they learned to fear human ingenuity." With renewed determination, they charged back into the fray. The Galactic Council had started this war, but humanity was determined to finish it on their terms. The tide of battle had shifted. With their capital ships falling from the sky and their ground forces in disarray, the alien invaders found themselves on the defensive for the first time. Humanity, emboldened by their newfound advantage, was ready to take the fight beyond Earth. In a secret underground hangar beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a sleek spacecraft unlike anything seen before on Earth stood ready. The HSS Prometheus, humanity's first true interstellar warship, was about to make its maiden voyage. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Captain Jack Morrison sat in the command chair, his cybernetic implants interfacing directly with the ship's systems. "All systems green," Jack announced. "We're ready for launch." Sarah nodded. "Then let's take this fight to them." The hangar doors above them opened, revealing the night sky. With a burst of energy that lit up the ocean for miles around, the HSS Prometheus shot into the atmosphere and beyond, leaving Earth behind. As they approached the alien fleet's remnants in orbit, Jack's voice was filled with awe. "Would you look at that?" Through the view screen, they saw the true scale of the alien armada. Dozens of massive ships hung in space, many now crippled or destroyed by the Omega guns. But among the wreckage, several ships remained intact, preparing to rally. "We can't let them regroup," Sarah said. "Weapons hot. Let's show them what this ship can do." The Prometheus surged forward. Its hull, reverse-engineered from captured alien technology and enhanced with human innovations, shimmered with an energy field that deflected incoming fire. Jack's hands danced over the controls. Firing main cannon. A beam of concentrated gravity waves shot from the Prometheus, slicing through an alien cruiser like a hot knife through butter. The alien ship split in two, secondary explosions rippling along its length. "Direct hit," Sarah exclaimed. "Now that's what I call a gun." The remaining alien ships scrambled to respond, but they were caught off guard by the humans' sudden appearance in space. The Prometheus weaved through their formation, its point defense systems taking out smaller craft while its main weapons disabled capital ships. On the alien command ship, High Counselor Zixnath watched in disbelief as the lone human vessel tore through their fleet. "Impossible," it chittered. "They were primitives mere months ago." A subordinate approached, mandibles clicking nervously. High Counselor, we're detecting energy signatures from the human ship that match our own technology. But they're more advanced. Zixnath's compound eyes widened. They've not only reverse-engineered our tech, they've improved upon it. For the first time, the alien leader felt a twinge of fear. Back on the Prometheus, Sarah and Jack worked in perfect sync. As Jack maneuvered the ship through a hail of enemy fire, Sarah coordinated with teams of engineers and scientists aboard, fine-tuning their weapons on the fly. "We've got incoming," Jack shouted as a swarm of alien fighters approached. Sarah smirked. "Perfect. Let's test out our new toy." She activated a new system, and suddenly the space around the Prometheus warped. The incoming fighters found their shots curving away harmlessly, while their own ships were drawn inexorably towards the human vessel. "Localized gravity well generator," Sarah explained, "turns their own momentum against them." The alien fighters crashed into each other, unable to escape the Prometheus's gravitational pull. Those that survived were easy pickings for the ship's defensive systems. As the battle raged on, news of humanity's counterattack spread across the galaxy. On countless worlds, species that had long lived under the Galactic Council's thumb watched in amazement as humans, the newcomers they had mocked, took the fight to their oppressors. Underground resistance movements on alien worlds, inspired by Earth's example, began to rise up. The Galactic Council found itself facing not just an external threat, but internal strife as well. Back on Earth, President Okafor addressed the United Nations. "Today, we have proven that humanity will not go quietly into the night. We have taken our first steps into the galactic stage, not as supplicants, but as equals." Cheers erupted in the assembly hall and in cities around the world. Humans looked to the stars with new eyes, seeing not just wonder, but opportunity. Aboard the Prometheus, as the last of the alien ships in Earth orbit retreated, Sarah and Jack shared a moment of victory. "We did it," Jack said, his voice filled with wonder. "We actually did it." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the starfield ahead. "This is just the beginning, Jack. We got a galaxy to explore, and a few scores to settle." As the Prometheus set course for the nearest alien outpost, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The Galactic Council had laughed at human guns. Now they would learn to respect them, and the species that wielded them. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, once a place of order and calm deliberation, now echoed with angry shouts and accusations. Representatives from 100 different species argued fiercely, their translators struggling to keep up with the cacophony of alien languages. High Counselor Zixnath sat at the head of the chamber, its compound eyes darting nervously from one enraged delegate to another. The chitinous plates on its exoskeleton had lost their usual luster, a sign of the stress it had been under since the human counterattack began. "Order!" Zixnath's voice boomed through the hall, amplified by hidden speakers. "We must have order." Slowly, the noise died down. A Krylaxian delegate, its gelatinous body quivering with indignation, spoke up. "High Counselor, how could you have miscalculated so badly? These humans were supposed to be primitives." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Zixnath's mandibles clicked in agitation. We underestimated their capacity for adaptation. Our intelligence suggested." "Your intelligence was wrong," interrupted a Volcran representative, its metallic skin flashing with patterns of anger. "Now the humans have not only repelled our invasion, but are pushing into our territory. 3 outpost worlds have already fallen." On a large holo-display at the center of the chamber, a map of the galaxy showed the current state of the conflict. A small but growing area of space glowed blue, representing human-controlled territory. Red arrows indicated the movement of the HS Prometheus and other human ships that had joined the fight. Zixnath attempted to regain control of the situation. "We still have superior numbers, if we consolidate our forces." "Numbers mean nothing if their weapons can tear through our shields like paper," shouted another delegate. As the arguments resumed, a small, unassuming figure made its way to the speaking platform. The Orcs delegate, a species known for their analytical minds and long-term planning, raised a spindly arm for attention. Esteemed colleagues, the Orcs' soft voice somehow cut through the noise. Perhaps we are asking the wrong questions. Instead of how to crush the humans, we should be asking, can we afford not to make peace with them? A stunned silence fell over the chamber. Zixnath's antennae twitched in surprise. Peace, with the very species that has humiliated us. The Orcs nodded slowly. Consider the facts. In mere months, they have gone from a pre-FTL civilization to one capable of challenging our military supremacy. Their rate of technological advancement is unprecedented. If we continue this war, even if we win, at what cost? The holo display shifted, showing projections of potential outcomes. In nearly every scenario where the war continued, the casualties for the Galactic Council races were staggering. And what if we lose? The Orcs continued. We are not just fighting the humans now. Our own subject species are rebelling, inspired by Earth's example. This war could be the end of the Council as we know it. Murmurs spread through the chamber, but this time they were thoughtful rather than angry. Zixnath's compound eyes narrowed as it considered the Orcs' words. What do you propose? The High Counselor asked. Negotiations, the Orcs replied simply. Offer the humans a seat on the Council. In exchange, we gain access to their technology and avoid further bloodshed. The chamber erupted in a mix of outrage and contemplation. Some delegates shouted that dealing with the humans was unthinkable, while others nodded in reluctant agreement. As the debate raged on, a junior aide rushed to Zixnath's side, whispering urgently in its ear. The High Counselor's exoskeleton paled visibly. Silence, Zixnath shouted, its voice tinged with fear. All eyes turned to the leader. We have just received word. The humans have discovered the location of this chamber. Their ships will be here within the hour. Panic spread through the delegates. Some rushed for the exits, while others huddled in groups, discussing emergency plans. Zixnath raised its clawed appendages for quiet. It seems, it said, its voice heavy with resignation, that the decision may no longer be ours to make. We must prepare to receive the human delegation, and hope they are in a mood to talk rather than fight. As the Council scrambled to prepare for the humans' arrival, the holo display zoomed in on a small fleet of ships approaching the secret Council world. At the head of the formation was the HFY Prometheus, its hull scarred from battle, but its weapons primed and ready. On its bridge, Sarah Chen and Jack Morrison stood side by side, gazing at the alien world growing larger in their view screen. Well, Sarah said, a hint of a smile on her face, I think it's time we crashed their party. Let's see if they're ready to take us seriously now. Jack nodded, his hand hovering over the weapons controls. One way or another, the galaxy's about to change forever. As the Prometheus led the human fleet towards the heart of the Galactic Council, the fate of multiple civilizations hung in the balance. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen when humanity finally took its seat at the cosmic table. The HFY Prometheus hung in space above the Galactic Council's hidden world, its weapons systems powered down but ready to activate at a moment's notice. Flanking it were a dozen other human ships, a small but formidable fleet that had fought its way across the stars to reach this point. Inside the Council chamber, an uneasy silence fell as the doors slid open. Ambassador Sarah Chen strode in, flanked by Captain Jack Morrison, and a team of human diplomats and soldiers. The aliens watched with a mix of fear and curiosity as the humans approached the central platform. High Counselor Zixnath's antennae twitched nervously as it addressed the human delegation. Ambassador Chen, we welcome you to the Galactic Council. Sarah's eyes swept across the chamber, taking in the diverse array of alien species. Many of them had sneered at humanity just months ago. Now that they couldn't meet her gaze. High Counselor, Sarah began, her voice firm, but not unkind. We stand here today, not as conquerors, but as equals. We came to the stars in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge. Instead, we were met with mockery and invasion. Murmurs rippled through the alien delegates. Zixnath's mandibles clicked in agitation. We may have been hasty in our judgment of your species. Hasty, Jack scoffed. You tried to enslave our entire planet. Sarah held up a hand to calm her companion. What's done is done. We're here now to discuss the future, not just of humanity, but of the entire galaxy. She gestured, and a human technician activated a holographic display. It showed the current state of the galaxy, with areas controlled by the Council, by humanity, and by various rebel factions that had risen up in the wake of Earth's resistance. The old order is crumbling. Sarah continued. Many of your subject species have seen in us an example of what's possible when you stand up to tyranny. They're no longer content to be ruled from afar by a council that doesn't understand or respect them. The Orcs delegate stepped forward. What do you propose, Ambassador? Sarah smiled. A new galactic alliance, one where all sentient species have a voice, where technology and knowledge are shared for the benefit of all, and where disputes are settled through diplomacy rather than force. Excited whispers broke out among the delegates. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked skeptical. Zixnath's compound eyes narrowed. And if we refuse? Jack's hand moved to his weapon, but Sarah shook her head. Then we leave, and you can try to hold your empire together as it crumbles around you. But know this, humanity will defend itself and its allies. We'd prefer peace, but we've proven we can win a war if pushed. The chamber erupted in debate. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia found themselves cautiously agreeing with each other. Those that had suffered under the Council's rule saw an opportunity for freedom. As the discussions raged on, a young Krylaxian approached Sarah. Its gelatinous form rippled with patterns that the human translators interpreted as a mix of hope and fear. Your weapons, it burbled, they're so advanced. How can we trust that humans won't become the new tyrants? Sarah knelt down to address the alien at its own level. Because we remember what it's like to be the underdogs. Our history is full of empires rising and falling. We've learned that true strength comes not from dominating others, but from working together. She stood and addressed the entire chamber. We offer you our technology, our innovation, and our friendship. In return, we ask for your knowledge, your unique perspectives, and your trust. Together, we can build something greater than any single species could achieve alone. The mood in the chamber shifted. Even the most hardline Council loyalists could see that the old way of doing things was over. One by one, delegates began to voice their support for the new alliance. Zixnath, seeing which way the wind was blowing, made its decision. Very well, Ambassador Chen, the Galactic Council, accepts your proposal. Let us begin work on this new alliance immediately. As cheers erupted throughout the chamber, Sarah and Jack shared a triumphant look. They had come to the stars seeking adventure and found a war. Now they were helping to forge a peace that could last for generations. Outside, the HS Prometheus's engines powered down for the first time in months. Its crew, who had become hardened warriors, allowed themselves to hope for a future of exploration rather than conflict. And on Earth, as news of the historic agreement reached them, humans looked to the stars with new eyes. The galaxy that had once seemed so hostile now beckoned with endless possibilities. Humanity had been underestimated, mocked, and attacked. But in the end, they had not just survived. They had changed the course of galactic history. The species that had laughed at human guns would now stand beside them as allies in a new age of cooperation and discovery. The adventure was just beginning.